is the very best day there has ever been to be in the floor covering business.
On the Floor with John Weller.
How you doing, Todd? Welcome to Sarasota. See that you've settled in very nicely with your short pants. Todd is the CEO of Ad Hoc in New York City. He's down here on vacation, and he was gracious enough to come spend some time during his vacation and hang out with us at Floor Force.
Yeah, I got to get out of the snow. We had, I think, 8 inches of snow in New York. So coming down to Florida, I had to rock the shorts.
Awesome, man. So let's get into it. So for people who don't know Todd's story, Todd was a Googler, worked at Google and worked on the AdWords team. And I got to ask the question, what prompted you, what inspired you to start Ad Hoc and actually jump out of like the work heaven environment?
Yeah, so a little on my background, and then I'll get into that. So my co-founder and I both came from the AdWords team at Google. There we worked with thousands of small businesses, helping them grow their AdWords accounts from a couple $100s a day to a couple thousand to tens of thousands of dollars a day. And our job was to help them do that profitably. Google's a great place to work, right? You can sit on bean bags, you get free lunch. There's really nothing not to like. The real honest truth is, if you want to have a bigger impact, if you want to do more than just your day-to-day job, you want to kind of get into the grind a little bit, have an impact with individual businesses, dive a little deeper, really like help them explore the opportunities outside of just Google, you obviously can't do that within Google. So for us, we knew that Facebook was important. We know that AdWords is important. We know that websites are important for customers. And it's really, you're kind of pigeonholed a little bit while working at Google.
What would you say to a flooring retailer who says, hey man, I've tried AdWords, I've actually done it twice. It doesn't work in my market and it just doesn't work for us?
Yeah, I would say a couple of things, right? When people come to us and say that, we're able to look under the hood and within a couple of minutes identify why it didn't work. So the first thing I would look at, if you think it doesn't work in your market, I would really look at yourself in the mirror and say, did I give this a professional and expert level setup? Was I optimizing this every single day or every single hour? Or did I just watch a YouTube video online and try to get this set up? So at its core, was it set up correctly? I think something we've done really well for customers that say that is do an audit, right? Data speaks for itself. So we can look in the account and say, hey, here are the 5 reasons why it didn't work, and actually give you an honest answer if it's going to work for you in the future. But I've seen AdWords specifically in this industry work for over 700 retailers. So I'd be really hard pressed to say it doesn't work. Now, you might get a higher CPA based on your location just because it's more competitive, or you might get a lower CPA in your location, but to say it doesn't work and you can't do it profitably, I mean, look at Google, right? They're a massive business. We see hundreds of flooring retailers doing it well. You just might have to take a different strategy than what you're typically used to. We have some retailers that search campaigns work really well. We have some retailers where remarketing works well, call-only ads, Gmail ads, and that's also part of why you need to work with an expert, because there are so many options out there, almost too many options that, yes, search might not work for you or remarketing might not work for you, but you need to know all of the options that are available before you just say, oh, this isn't going to work. Because the truth is, if this isn't going to work, then what's going to work? You're not going to advertise in the yellow pages anymore. Google really is where people do their searching. They type in flooring store near me, or they type in, buy hardwood flooring. You need to be there.
So Todd, I think we have about 700 flooring retailers that we now work on together with AdWords. And I think about this all the time, and we do a lot of testimonial videos, but in your mind, does any story stick out as one where we really had an impact on one of these flooring retailers that you want to talk about?
Yeah, we actually had a flooring retailer come to us that you brought to us, I think, about 2 years ago. They were managing themselves. They were kind of hesitant to work with us, if you remember. But they came to us. I think their CPA was about $60 per lead. Came to us, and the account was done pretty well, right? It was optimized well, but we knew for sure that if we put technology and algorithms to the account, we could see better performance. And I remember after about 2 months after we were working together on the account, we saw the CPA drop from about $60 to $35. And when I looked at how that was done with our algorithm, it would really leverage the data that you guys provided us on the location level. So what happened was they were targeting this one city, but what they weren't doing is using what's called location bid adjustments across all the small neighborhoods. So instead of targeting one city with one bid, what we were doing was targeting over 150 neighborhoods with individual bid adjustments that were changing on an hourly or daily basis. And then on top of that, with some of the information you guys provided us, we were actually layering income levels on top of that. So we kind of leveraged the power of demographics of customers that we have at scale that you provided us on top of the bid adjustments we were able to do in AdWords, and we saw the CPA decrease by about 50%.
We do AdWords right now with about 50% of our clients. So there's 50% of our clients, over 500 of them have never done AdWords, have never done digital marketing. So being that you're an ex-Googler and you're here, I'd love to hear just the basics from a very high level view. How does AdWords work? And if you've never done it before, what should you expect in your first endeavor of advertising on Google's platform?
Yeah, so AdWords works when someone types something into Google, there's text ads on top of the Google search results. Now, the really awesome thing about AdWords is it's pay per click, sometimes in the industry known as PPC. And what that means is you only pay when a customer actually clicks on your ad and gets to your website. So you don't pay for customers just to see it. You know, you think about billboards and other things like that. You're paying for impressions or people to see it. They're not actually physically visiting your store or visiting your online store, your website. Whereas with Google, you're actually paying for someone to come to your website. So it's a much more qualified visit than your typical billboard or yellow pages ad or something like that. Now, once you launch your first AdWords campaign, I got to be honest, you shouldn't expect results 3 days in. Anyone that promises you that is selling you snake oil. Once you launch your AdWords campaign, it takes time to optimize it, find the right audience, because we don't want to just get you leads. It's important to get quality leads. If they're not quality leads, your phone will ring with people asking you nonsense questions and kind of wasting your time. So I tell all retailers and businesses that are just starting up, the first 30 days is all about data gathering, making sure we have the right data on your customers, on the demographics, on what a qualified lead means to you. 30 to 60 days is really optimizing and trimming the fat, trimming all the wasted spend, really narrowing focus in on the most qualified customer for you. And then from then on out, I would say about 70 days or so on, it's kind of a race of how can we push the needle, how can we move the budget, how can we get more leads into the funnel. And that's kind of how we look at it. But again, the really great thing about AdWords is at bare minimum, these people are clicking on your ad, going to your website and learning more about you. Sometimes we can track these leads, right? If they call you, we can track that lead. If they fill out a form, we can track that lead. If they don't do either of those, we can run retargeting, which is when that ad follows them around the internet and says, hey, don't forget, we offer this really awesome flooring, come back to our website. But I think the one thing that I've heard most from retailers is they've seen their in-store traffic go up. So a customer can go to your website, click on your ad and decide, all right, this is really awesome. I'm not going to call them right now, but I'm going that way. I'm going to pass their office when I go to work tomorrow. Maybe I'll stop in their store. So there's this brand initiative with Google, with AdWords as well, and this brand awareness that isn't very trackable, but from what we've seen over the last couple of years, is pretty impactful.
The number one question I get from retailers when we're having a conversation about AdWords is, I'm a retailer, I've never done AdWords, it scares me to death. What should my budget be to start doing AdWords?
Yeah, it's definitely a tough question, and we definitely get asked this a lot. I think in order to come up with your budget, you should first look at what is your goal, right? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? Is it 5 qualified leads every month? Is it 20 qualified leads every month? And then based on that, we have a ton of historical data from the 700 somewhat retailers that we're working with. The conversion rates that we see on the website. We can analyze the website traffic, the cost per clicks in the location, and then we can actually back out an answer to what the budget should be based on all of that. Now, If I was hard pressed to give an answer, I would probably say $1,000 a month is a good target to start. With that said, though, Google takes time to optimize, right? We need statistically significant data in order to make good decisions and in order to optimize to decrease the cost per lead over time. Now, if you're spending $500 a month, we might not have statistically significant data for 6, 8, or even 10 months. However, if you're spending $1,000 or $2,000, we may be able to get to that maximum level of optimization in just 3 or 4 months. So really what I would tell anyone who's thinking about starting on AdWords and trying to figure out what their budget should be, I would focus on your goals rather than the budget. And then from the goals, the Floor Force team can kind of do a deep dive in your website traffic, the demographics of your customer, the cost per clicks in your city, and they can actually back out a number of what your budget should be. We've done that for a lot of customers, and we've seen pretty good success doing it that way.
When Todd came for the interview, he said to me, "Can I get to do a fun fact?" So, what is the fun fact that you would like to share with our audience here at Floor Force?
Yeah, I've had to practice fun facts for a while. Working at Google, you do a lot of icebreakers, you do a lot of these games to get to know people around you. And the fun fact I always go with is I have over 140 brothers and sisters.
Wow, what is that?
So when I was growing up, my parents did foster care. So from about the age of 12 to 18, we had different people living in our house, and that was either one day, sometimes it was a week, sometimes 2 people actually stayed with us for over a year. And I still keep in touch with as many of them as I can. And when I tell that fact, I get the same type of look from you, which is like, how in the world do you have that many brothers and sisters? But yeah, it was definitely impactful for me growing up, and it's something I hope to continue later on in my life.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Thanks for coming while you're on vacation, hanging out here at Floor Force. Tell your girlfriend thank you for letting you come at 7 o'clock in the morning and hang out with us. I think it was insightful. I hope everybody got value out of this conversation, and we'd love to have you back.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. And I know a couple months ago, we brought a couple of Floor Force retailers out to our office in New York. We actually gave them a tour around Google, did a little digital marketing summit. I'd love to make an offer to anyone watching this video. If you sign up with Floor Force and end up, getting online with digital advertising, we'd love to take you on a tour of Google in New York. Our doors are always wide open, so please feel free to come by, reach out to John. I'm sure he can help get that set up. And for anyone that's still considering getting online, I'm willing to offer any Floor Force retailer $365 in free AdWords spending.
Who's paying for that?
We're going to split it.
Deal.
So any customer that's thinking about spending money online and is hesitant about it, again, we are going to comp your first $365 in ad spend. And on top of that, please come to our office in New York. We'd love to tour you around Google. And in the next few months, we're going to put together a Floor Force ad hoc summit at Google for Floor Force customers only.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, take it easy.
Good seeing you.